Let's travel out to Norman Street in Concord and have a look at how Canada Bay Council has taken yet another opportunity to miss an opportunity. Seems they just love doing that. But when I was filming this particular stretch of road for this video, I went out to Breakfast Point and I suffered not one, not two, but 3 close passes in a row on New Year's Eve. It was just unbelievable. Traffic was really light. There was no reason for this to, these close passes to happen. It's not like there were, oncoming cars getting in the way. And, these drivers just couldn't resist doing dangerous close overpasses and or overtakes. And this is why we want safe, separated infrastructure. We don't want to be riding on the road, and we certainly don't want to be, in the door lane or separated by a bit of paint. And this third driver really annoyed the hell out of me because they overtook and then parked. Couldn't wait. Why couldn't they just sit behind me and just wait till we got around the corner? That's the kind of mentality we're up against, unfortunately. Well, anyway, we're approaching Norman Street. There's the COVID testing thing there on the left. You can see we're in this rather faded bike lane here. There's an old footpath over on the left. And the reason these lines here are faded is, one, because they've been worn away by the weather, and secondly, as we can see on this corner, they've been completely erased by drivers cutting these corners, and their tyres have completely worn the paint away. Now that tells you drivers are driving into the bike lane here, making this a rather horribly dangerous and risky place to be, particularly when there's cars parked all the way along here and you've got to ride out in the door zone. So let's go and have a look at this $130-something thousand path. Do I think that lane is a bike lane? Well, if you think it is, you probably still think the Glebe Island Bridge is an operational bridge. It's not. But it's been doing up that footpath was listed in the PAMP, 600 metres worth of work at an estimated cost of $135,000. Well, that's quite cheap actually for a bit of path. And it serves a lot of destinations. Well, if it serves a lot of destinations for pedestrians, wouldn't you also think it'd serve a lot of destinations for cyclists, and it'd be good to actually combine the two? And if you think $135,000 for a bit of footpath is a lot of money, just consider that in 2017, your average lane kilometre of road cost $5.1 million. So if you think about Norman Street, it's 4 lanes at 600 metres. That's 2.4 kilometres at $5 million per lane kilometre. It's can't be $10 million worth? Nah, it's ridiculous. Anyway, what's the quality of this footpath like? Well, it looks good. It's probably okay to walk on. It's an absolute shocker to ride on. It is lumpy. It is bumpy. It's as corrugated as a pair of corduroy trousers. I can't believe something this new is this bad. The quality is really poor. And I don't know if anyone bothered testing this with a mobility scooter or a pram or coming out here with young kids on a scooter or a balance bike or something like that, because if they did, they wouldn't have passed it. They should have rejected it and said that it's not fit for purpose. Well, of course, unless they didn't bother specifying it as being useful for, say, people on mobility scooters or, parents with prams. Anyway, it just I find it unbelievable that there's this terrible bike lane out there, which we'd like to have replaced. And what's council done? They've gone and spent a whole pile of money on a footpath. Why not combine the two? Why didn't they think, we can put in a really good path here, a shared path that'll service, pedestrians and cyclists, and get cyclists off the road and you can be protected and all that stuff? No. Anyway, the path just got worse and worse as we went through here, and you can see this is probably an ancient path. The bit I'm riding on is probably the original part. It was, I guess, about 40 centimetres wide. And at some point, council has come along and added maybe another 20 centimetre wide slab or slabs on the left. That was even worse. If it was C minus back there, this was an F, and then it just turns into WTF. Where'd the path go? Why did they never bother extending the footpath up to the corner here? Why is there an ancient pram ramp on the corner here and no footpath? Look, this has been identified by the consultants in the PAMP as a missing stretch of path, and maybe it'll be built at some point, but unbelievable. It's just one of the mysteries of council infrastructure, I think. But if we ride a little bit further up the hill here, we'll actually find there's a playground here. So, having a nice protected bike lane along there would actually be quite useful for families to get to the playground with kids on scooters or kids on bikes. Or you need footpaths if you've got little kids in strollers and you want to be able to push them to the playground, which is what we used to do when the kids were young, rather than drive there and fight to get them out of their child seats and that kind of stuff. Anyway, and also the path in this playground was just one trip hazard after another. It's it's terrible. It's all torn up by tree roots, and oh boy, yeah, it was not the best, that's for sure. But ancient infrastructure, what can you do about it? Anyway, back to Norman Street. Yeah, I really do think that council has again missed an opportunity, to do something good. They did it with Winston Parade, where they could have turned that into a nice, quiet shared street, and they just decided to resheet it and let drivers go faster, rather than take the opportunity to re-engineer the street and make drivers go slower. And here I am in the bike lane, and and on all these corners, you can see that the car tyres have just completely erased the solid white line. Now, I have witnessed so many cars driving in the bike lane around here that I always ride in the parking lane and hope I don't get hit from behind. But, of course, on weekends when there's sport, this is full of cars, and you have to ride in the bike lane, and that's essentially in the door zone. And I've almost been doored here as well. So, if I ride around here on a weekend and there's parked cars, I ride out pretty much on that white line, which means you're then at risk for getting clobbered by someone zooming past coming up behind. It's just a terrible state of affairs. And if the decision makers within council, whether that's the mayor, the councillors, general managers, traffic engineers, whatever, actually rode out here on a regular basis, they would know this stuff and they would know this needs to be fixed. But there's no Boris Johnson on council, is there, who actually rides and has local knowledge of this kind of stuff and knows if what's in the bike plans or in the bike maps is actually matched by reality on the ground. The councillors are just informed by what the council staff tell them, and do the council staff come out and actually ride these things on a regular basis and actually inform councillors from a an informed opinion, or do they have any actual experience of it themselves that they can provide feedback to the councils to say whether something's working or not. Anyway, it's a pity they've missed another opportunity to do a major upgrade there, because that would have been very useful.